Many of us already know of the villainous alternate version of Doctor Strange from the Disney Plus show Marvel's What If. But what if many other evil versions of Doctor Strange are out there, lurking in the multiverse? Join me as we count down the top 10 evil alternate versions of Doctor Strange and find out more about them. Number 10. Dormammu Universe Strange. This alternate version of Stephen Strange is a loyal follower of Dormammu and hails from the reality of Earth 5113, also referred to as the Dormammu Universe. The Stephen Strange of Earth 616 ends up transporting himself and his team of defenders here in issue number 3 of the 2005 Defender series. The Stephen Strange of this reality is bald and is revealed to be a servant of Dormammu, who rules over Earth. Oh dear. In this reality, Dormammu's servant Stephen Strange keeps Clea prisoner instead of being in a romantic relationship with her. Despite how he mistreats her, Clea still feels bad for Strange's predicament too, even crying for him, knowing of the reality that could have been for them both. Strange in this reality really gives me strong Jafar vibes. That's how I know he's evil. Number 9. Ultimate Doctor Strange Sr. In the Ultimate reality, there are really two different versions of Doctor Strange. The more prominent one that most people know is actually Stephen Strange Jr., who is the son of the original Stephen Strange and his wife, Clea, whom you might also be familiar with from the 616 reality. Stephen Strange Sr. wasn't so much super evil in this reality, but he did do Clea dirty, likely because of his own trauma. You see, Clea and Stephen ended up married, but this wasn't his first marriage. Stephen not only lost the fine motor skills in his hands when he was in that fateful car accident that changed him forever, in the 1610 universe he was driving drunk and his first wife, who was pregnant at the time, was also with him in the car. Now when the car crashed, his wife was killed and their future child was also lost. When Clea revealed that she was pregnant to Strange, he simply vanished, probably because of what happened before with his first wife. Clea looked everywhere but she could not find him. It was believed he either locked himself away in another dimension or took his own life, but either way, he was never seen again. Clea would go on a journey of mystical self-discovery similar to Stephen after his accident, but would ultimately decide to raise her son without the knowledge of mysticism, with him believing that his father was merely a surgeon who had died. Until of course he goes on to become Stephen Strange Jr., who also kind of becomes like his dad, and then I'm pretty sure he gets killed like almost right away. Oh, the Ultimate Universe, what a strange place it was. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more Doctor Strange lists, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Sorcerer Extreme. Sorcerer Extreme has the combined souls and powers of Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, and Dr. Stephen Strange, who show up basically as two entities in one package in Secret Wars Battle World issue number 1. Here they are on the run from the Infernal Four and end up facing off and defeating alternate versions of Hulk, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. Well, this makes the characters sound pretty evil. Those 4 characters were actually the members of the Infernal Four, who were essentially corrupted from being trapped in the demonic domain. So basically, they were pretty evil themselves. Still, Sorcerer Extreme does kill people wielding magic guns, so he's somewhat questionable when it comes to the morals, at least of his methods. Stephen and Frank, as a result, seem to butt heads somewhat while sharing the same physical form. Number 7. Strange 2099. Another alternate version of Strange who meant well, but who at times was kinda corrupted. This time, not so much by her own trauma like the ultimate Dr. Stephen Strange Sr., but instead by external demonic forces. More specifically, a literal demon who she was possibly tricked into sharing a body with. This version of Doctor Strange that we are talking about here is known simply as Jeannie. She hails from the reality of Earth 928, aka the Marvel futuristic 2099 universe. While for the most part the demon within Jeannie doesn't cause too many problems, at one point it does fully take over her body, making at least her physical form evil for a time, until she is freed by 2099's Moon Knight wielding the Soul Sword. Moon Knight in 2099 is also pretty cool. Lots of cool 2099 characters. We have lists for that, by the way, if you're interested in the 2099 universe. Number 6. Loki, Sorcerer Supreme. Loki ended up tricking Doctor Strange for a time out of his title, becoming the Sorcerer Supreme in his place instead. He did this with somewhat good intentions, believing he was better prepared and suited to the role of Sorcerer Supreme and could protect Earth against threats that Strange himself seemed unprepared to face. Basically, Loki felt that Strange wasn't willing to break enough rules to be Sorcerer Supreme, and Loki was like, I could do that, so I'm gonna take this job for the better of the world. However, the fact remains that Loki still tricked Steven, didn't come by the artifacts associated with or the powers of the title fairly, and is often known for being more a villain than a hero in the comics. While Loki took up Strange's place, Steven was forced to become a veterinarian in the interim, which is actually pretty cute. I gotta say, the idea of Doctor Strange as like a pet doctor, it's pretty great. Also, this is where Bats, the talking and now ghostly Basset Hound, comes from, if you were wondering. So we got that out of this story arc, which is pretty great. Number 5. Doctor Strangefate. While not inherently evil, Doctor Strangefate did attempt to sacrifice both the DC Universe and Marvel Universe just to keep the Amalgam Universe alive. This made him a villain of Marvel's Doctor Strange, whose own world was actually threatened by his plot. Doctor Strange battled Strangefate and won, despite him on paper being a stronger version of the two, being part Charles Xavier, part Doctor Strange, and part Dr. Fate from DC. However, Strange pitied Strangefate and the Amalgam Universe and allowed them to continue on, but within a pocket dimension, safely encased so they could not threaten the other universes. Number 4. Leader of the Black Priests. The Black Priests aren't necessarily evil so much in the way that, you know, they don't do things just for the sake of being bad. They are more on the side of good, but they are willing to do whatever it takes to protect the multiverse, which can make them pretty bad and pretty evil at times, especially when dealing with issues like incursions. Steven, in a reality that no longer exists but is still part of his main continuity story, albeit somewhat of a tangent considering the present continuity, ended up becoming the leader of the Black Priests, and as such joined them in destroying entire alternate Earths, believing he was doing what was right. Still, I feel like if you were destroying entire worlds, even it's for the greater good, you probably need to like re-examine your alignment. Be like, maybe there's a better way to do this. Number 3. Zombie Doctor Strange. Zombies are almost always evil, and Doctor Strange is not an exception to that standard, as we see when he becomes a zombie in the Marvel Zombies universe. This version of Steven hails from the reality of Earth 2149, sometimes referred to as Earth Z. We don't know how Steven became a zombie, but before that happened, he was one of the few last standing survivors to join Nick Fury in his fight against the invasion, as we see him present during Fury's speech on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, where Fury has rallied together some surviving heroes and villains to help battle against the army of undead. In the end, however, Strange too becomes a zombie, and from there he ends up developing and satiating his taste for human flesh and brains. Number 2. Doctor Strange Supreme. Of course, we have to talk about this alternate version, the one I mentioned in the intro. This is one of the most evil versions of Doctor Strange we've seen to date. He appears in the What If series episode number 4, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart instead of his hands. In this episode, Strange becomes evil after losing his love Christine, instead of losing the mobility of his hands. After becoming Sorcerer Supreme, he thinks about a way to bring her back, and ends up becoming obsessed with finding some way to alter the timeline to make it so that Christine is able to stay alive, even after learning from the ghost of the Ancient One that Christine's death is unavoidable, as it is an absolute point in time. The Ancient One warns that to change this point in history would actually lead to the destruction of the universe. Still, Strange is not dissuaded. He ends up, or part of him at least ends up, at the Library of Cagliostro and learns that to break an absolute point in time, he needs to absorb creatures, which will basically grant him more power. Basically, he just needs more power, so he's like, I'm gonna summon all these powerful creatures and I'm gonna suck up their power. Eventually, his actions do lead to the destruction of his universe, and he ends up all alone, trapped there, despite his pleas to the Watcher to help him fix the universe as it unravels. But you know the Watcher's like, hey man, I just watch, except for the times when I do get involved, because that does happen. Happens in that show too. Number 1. Disciple of Dormammu. This alternate version of Doctor Strange is probably the one that inspired the MCU Doctor Strange Supreme, at least in part. He hails from the reality of 791218, as seen in the 1977 What If series in issue number 18, where we answer the question, what if Doctor Strange were a disciple of Dormammu? And obviously this has happened a few times in the comics. Here Strange joins Dormammu after Baron Mordo is the one to heal his hands, using the dark magics of Dormammu, also being his disciple. Strange ends up joining with Dormammu and fighting against the Ancient One and their followers, even going on to kill the man who healed him, Baron Mordo, after Dormammu reveals that he only actually needs one disciple and basically he chooses Strange, who he has deemed to be the superior of the two. This version of Steven gives me major Sith Lord vibes, all in all. You know you're evil when you're giving off Sith Lord vibes. Who are your favorite evil alternates for Strange? Who do you think is the most evil? Are you a fan of evil or dark Doctor Strange alternates, or do you prefer the more heroic main and alternate counterparts to the character? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.